wherever you may be in the world, and welcome to another live reading of my book, Female Founder Formula. Today feels like a day where I have non-stop been recording something, practicing a workshop, videoing, delivering content. So I thought, why stop there? Let's carry on and do a live reading. It's been a week since the last one, I think. So this is what we do pretty much once a week, every Thursday around this time. I jump on live and read you a bit of my book from my perspective. And we are still in chapter 1, principle 1, commitment. And so far, we've got through the story of where I started and why. And now we're going to dive into what I went on to do about it once I understood what the problem was I wanted to solve. So just as a reminder, for those of you who are not familiar, this is my book. It came out end of last year. It's available now on Amazon, although tale for another time, if you are in the UAE, you will have to switch on your VPN. And I'm going to post a story about that experience next week on LinkedIn. So keep a lookout for that one because it doesn't have a particularly happy ending. Anyway, here we go. We'll carry on. We're on page 15. So what was I going to do about this problem that I'd uncovered? Have you ever had that feeling, a moment where you think, hang on a second, why the hell has nobody tackled this before? Where are all the people who should be doing something about this? And why can nobody see how unfair this is? There's got to be a better way. And when I say this, I am talking about the huge gap in opportunity at that particular time, 2015, for women to return to work, particularly after having children. But this is a common question that so many people start with when they're beginning a business, as exactly as I did. And this has got a name, injustice, yes. But then the feeling, hot, angry, agitated, frustrated, cools and condenses into something you can act on, your purpose. Mine has been driving me ever since that moment in 2015. And once you commit to your purpose, it's very hard to put down. Stick with me and I'll share with you the steps I took to build 2 purposeful businesses, driven by the fire kindled in that fateful photography workshop that morning. The purpose that grew out of the fire drove the creation of each one and drove to the heart of the issue I saw around me, which I knew was a cruel injustice. But how, you ask, did I act on my sense of purpose and keep my feet on the ground, enough to make a success of each business, enabling me to proudly sit in the 0.5% of female founders to have had their business acquired? Honestly, I don't think those who knew me when I was younger would have predicted this for me. Many of the founders I now know would say the same. So we're going to rewind 40 years or so to me, a middle-class girl from Coventry in the UK, born to parents who sacrificed a lot to give my sister and myself a really brilliant start, a very solid start. My dad was and still is an entrepreneur. So was his dad. So is my sister now. Maybe it's in the blood somewhere. I wasn't top of every class. I wasn't out there representing my county at sports. I wasn't winning tons of prizes or scholarships. I wasn't casually raising money on the side for charity. I certainly didn't win any popularity contest, probably the opposite, actually, in many respects. And there were zero expectations that I should, would, or could be up there with the winners, in inverted commas. But maybe the clue to my future lies in one habit I picked up. Because if there's one thing I had, it was passion. I didn't pursue lots of hobbies, but those I did, I was relentless in. Horses, then fashion were the first 2, depending on who you speak to. They've taken far too much of my time and money over the years. The third, which was to become my career for the best part of 12 years, was music. It took me 7 years of making the tea, working holidays, at night times, weekends, anytime I could, to get my first job in music. And for those of you who are music fans, those shows encompassed working with presenters like the absolute legendary John Peel, Trevor Nelson, Zane Lowe, Marianne Hobbs, you name it. If you are a music geek, you will be familiar with those names. And they were part of my world for a very long time when I was younger. My mission was to give the phenomenally talented musicians who weren't getting any airtime the chance to be celebrated and heard across the world on BBC Radio. Remember, this was pre-YouTube. I think it was like MySpace. I think I remember having MySpace at the time. Facebook hadn't yet become a real thing. So there was no way for these underground musicians to be heard unless they were played on the radio. And I kind of made that my mission. Obsession, purpose, commitment, they are all unbelievably powerful ingredients and close cousins of each other. And maybe it was here that my purpose-driven attitude started to kick in. I've been asked more than once in my life why I can't just sit still, why I can't stop making my life harder than it needs to be, or just to be happy with the way things are. That's just not me. I think I've always known I would do pretty much anything for something I believe in. And I'm sure that that's what I've always done. It's never bothered me what anyone else is doing or thinking. I've never really tried to fit in. I've carried on and done my thing in my own way. And I've never not done what I've set my mind to. Sometimes it's been to my detriment, though luckily that's been short-lived. Again, story for another time. As we'll explore in these pages, outside of my career choices, I made a new home in Sydney at the age of 21 with no job or network. I dropped everything to travel around South America solo at 28. I left my friends and family and career to move with my future husband to the Middle East a few years later. Doing all those things required one key attribute: commitment. Looking back and joining the dots, committing to my goals over and over again, no matter the cost, showed me how I could use passion to fuel my purpose, and doing this enabled me to shape my reality according to what I most wanted. Aligned with this philosophy is the desire to do something that's bigger than just me, that opens the doors for others and treads a new path. Following my own star is a part of that, because when I see something that jars and clearly needs fixing and nobody else is getting on with, it becomes less about why should I do it and more about, if not me, then who? Are you with me? Okay, so that's probably enough for now. We are probably halfway through our first principle. I'm going to have to speed up this reading somehow, or maybe just do some longer ones. Otherwise, we're going to be here for the rest of the year. Perhaps we'll just do that once a week, rest of the year, who knows. But I would love to answer any questions or just anything that's kind of jumped out for you on that very important part, actually, of the book, because without that, I would certainly not be sitting here reading you this book now. I wouldn't have taken 10 years of my life building businesses that I truly believed in, and I track it back to those aspects of my youth, if you like, of my beginnings. So yeah, please do drop some questions, ask me anything, and I will see you